Hello, and thank you again for joining us for another Insight Tech Talk. My name is Erin Hazen, and I am a Client Solutions Executive here at Insight. Today, I'm thrilled again to be joined by Rhett Livengood, Director of Digital Business Enabling at Intel. Thank you so much for being with us again today, Rhett, for part two of our series talking about Intel's Ready, Set, Accelerate initiative. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, great to be here. And I guess this is the set part, right? And there's been really nothing set the last 2 years, but we'll try our best.
Exactly. And I'm really excited to dig into this next phase with you, Rhett, of this initiative that Intel has. Today, we're going to talk about all things finding the right devices and what to prepare for as you set your hybrid workforce up for success. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Yeah, I'm hoping by now, whether folks are still working remotely or maybe back into the office, that they have gotten a good business device that they're working on. Some of them might have had emergency devices there when the pandemic first hit, but hopefully there's kind of the new normal is starting to take shape.
Yeah, let's hope so. I've heard some wild stories of people like running off of their Xboxes and all kinds of crazy things. So let's hope so. And we know that Intel has the devices and the capabilities to provide, the perfect fit for what a business needs. So let's dive into that, right? Let's get right into it, Rhett, and talk about how Intel supports businesses in determining what it is that is the best business PC for their needs.
Yes. Well, the key thing about a business device, whether it's a notebook or a desktop or whatever you use, is there's really when you look for a device, there are two kind of two customers in mind or two people who are designing this device for. One of them, of course, is for the business end user, and what we try to do there is make their experience just as good as one of their high-end consumer devices or maybe a gaming devices. And I know a lot of you out there play games and have some great experiences there. But the other person we're trying to keep happy is your IT department, because we need these to be secure. They need to be managed. We need to keep them updated. We need to keep all the bad actors away from your device. So there's really two types of people there that we're designing these for versus just an off-the-shelf PC that you might get.
Okay, great.
And
You want to tell
I
us a little
think,
bit about that?
yes. So the way we do that is we kind of break down the computing experience into four major areas. The first one, and we call these pillars. The first one's around performance. And when you think of performance, you're thinking, wow, I'd really like to have the fastest, uh, most powerful PC possible. And we actually do this by, designing the chips, not only for performance, but also for efficiency, because we want you to have long battery life. We've got some systems now. You might have heard of our Evo vPro platform. Some of those get 20 hours of battery life. We have standard business PCs now that have up to 10, and you can pretty much go all day, especially if you're working from home and you may not be right next to an outlet or a coffee shop or wherever these days. The other thing that we're very keen on in performance is your wireless experience. It
Oh
is
my goodness.
obviously very important to get connected to, the right wireless device. We've got good old Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E or Wi-Fi 6 extended is out there. And you'll notice this you can see my hands up there. It's very, very smooth, right?
Yeah.
And, being able to have those capabilities, being able to see and be heard and not constantly have to either reboot or restart, especially during meetings, is going to be very, very important where you have these situations where people are back at work. And I know some of you are back in the office, which is great. And some of you have chosen to work from home, but as we blend the two kind of work and home together, we want to make sure everybody is feeling like they're able to contribute equally when they're in meetings and in one-on-ones. So performance, that's a key thing you want to look at when you're buying a business device. And you really want to look at a system that's been designed that way because it does have a lot of special features, not on the generic systems.
It's so true, right? Especially as we see businesses doing this truly hybrid style of or operating, where we've got people in the office, people at home, and yeah, if there is a lack or a lag in connection or performance challenges, it can really hang up efficiencies and creativity. So I'm glad to hear that that is one of the four pillars, which is performance. So there's four. So tell me about the three more.
Yes. So the next one is security. Obviously, security is super important. There is a whole suite of technologies on business PCs these days to help protect the whole computing stack. Obviously, everybody runs with a lot of software. The average business PC, you have about 150 applications running, and you want to make sure they're updated regularly. You've got good security. The applications were designed very well, and most importantly, you don't click on some bad links and end up getting your whole system infected.
Mm,
So having security features built into the hardware as well as the software, and you don't have to worry about how this works. It's just stronger security. So the more security that has been added to these business PCs in the hardware as well as the software level is really going to make it easier for your IT administrators to keep your PC up and running and healthy and updated with all the security patches. And if you happen to get in trouble, you can quickly get back up to speed and not lose any of your work.
I love that. And like you were saying, the layers of security are so key, right? Because those bad actors, they have intricate systems for getting into those PCs and getting into your business. So those layers are so key. It's
Yes.
great to know that that's built in. I love that.
Yep. The third, and this is an important one, is I know it has been difficult sometimes to get the PC that you want. There have been
Yeah.
wow shortages of all kinds of components at all levels, but part of the stability of these business PCs is really the validation that goes on, and these business PCs have been validated around Windows 10 and the newly announced Windows 11. So that enhanced validation and the reliable firmware updates are very, very important for your IT group to be able to give you the latest and greatest, performance and security, and also keep it stable and something you can order for the next 5 quarters. It's a very stable image, and it ensures that all the components on that platform work together, and you can order those for the next 15 months. So that's part of the promise of the business platform, and definitely in the vPro platform that we offer. That's key. And then finally, I guess I'll go ahead and jump
Yeah.
in, is really around manageability. And manageability really these days is around the cloud. In the old days, you had the virtual private network, and I'm all sure you remember in March of 2020 when the pandemic really came out and you shut things down. All of a sudden, everything that was on your virtual private network, everybody went home and jumped on the virtual private network and brought your whole network down.
To a halt.
So
Screeching halt.
yes. So very quickly, many of the applications got switched over to cloud-based, so you could manage and secure those in a more distributed environment. So manageability nowadays with via the cloud is key, and things like Intel Endpoint Management Assistant and working with different OSs like Microsoft Windows is very, very key in being able to manage the device in the cloud and to always have the data with you no matter where you are traveling these days. So, a quick summary, it comes down to performance, security, stability, and manageability. And those are four key things you want to look at when you're looking at a business PC, and also when you're working with your insights expert. You want to make sure that the services that you're acquiring there as well really line up to these, and you'll have a really good business computing experience if you just follow the simple four pillars rules.
I love that. So actually, that's a perfect segue. You teed me up perfectly, Rhett, because maybe we'll skip. I do want to touch on vPro. I'll come back to that question here, but let's talk a little bit about Insight Services, because that was going to be one of my questions to you. Was, this is, those four pillars are such great, a great guide, but sometimes our clients, our businesses are going to need a little extra support. And so in collaboration, maybe let's talk a little bit about the Insight and Intel partnership.
Yeah, Insights has really, I think, gone above and beyond. They really have a great try before you buy program. They call them battle packs.
Love it.
And these battle packs are great. If you want to try, maybe you want to try an Evo V Pro, and you're like, well, what does Wi-Fi 6, enhanced feel like? And, can I run some of my specialized applications on here? You can check out a system, try it out, put it through the paces, maybe bring it into a proof of concept environment in your company. And it's a great way to kind of try before you buy. And I would highly recommend that. It also allows you to do this remotely these days. They've got some really good systems where you can do this whether you're back in the office or working remotely from home.
Right. And I think that this is so incredibly valuable because these are not small investments, especially, when you're trying to maybe retool your infrastructure for this hybrid workspace. So the opportunity to try this out with these battle pack opportunities is terrific. And I love that we're working together on something like that. So let's just bounce back quickly, because I know that vPro is like a best in class solution, and I wanted to touch on that just really quickly, if you don't mind, Rhett.
Yeah, so the vPro platform, there's a standard, business architecture. It runs on our core platform, and it's a great, entry level computing. But the vPro platform is really best for business. And what I say about that is, in addition to having, a great microprocessor, there's a whole bunch of chips in the platform. Not only is there a microprocessor, there's a chipset, there is a radio, there's Wi-Fi chips, there's security areas. Um, More and more, there's even artificial intelligence built in. It's all built into the business platform, not only for you as a business end user, but also for your IT group. So, you don't have to worry about constantly doing updates or do I have the latest software. All that stuff gets managed because you've purchased a base system and it's ready to go. So I would recommend at least trying that out. We
Yeah.
mentioned some of the programs that Insight has to do that, but I think you will find that over time, the the cost of the system and also your stress levels will be lower over time if you go that route.
I was just gonna say that investment in a system that is going to ease some of those challenges and worries and updates and have that security in place. We're addressing those really important four pillars. I think that, like, we've really summed up what it means to be set as a part of a ready, set, accelerate strategy. It's making sure that you have the devices ready for when it's time to go forward. Is that a good summary?
Yes, yes. You really want to have that base platform. You want to have the performance because, yes, you want to have a good work machine. You still maybe want to play a few games. You want to have a good wireless experience on the web. So many things are up in the cloud nowadays. You want it to be secure for obvious reasons. You want it to be stable. You want to be able to buy this system for more than a year and not worry about it, going out of style or out of stock or not being able to get it. And then, finally, you really want to make sure that it's manageable, right? And you want to, even if it's remote and you're in your house, you can, with the vPro platform, have it managed remotely even when the operating system is not working. So there's some great features that really help you, keep computing, especially during these these very challenging times where we're all going to have to learn to work a little bit differently, where we're going to kind of be online and offline constantly as you go out through the day.
I love it. I love it, Rhett. And I'm so grateful. I know that this has been another terrific opportunity to speak with you about the Intel, Ready, Set, Accelerate initiative. I'm super excited because we have one more as a part of this series. So we're going to talk about Accelerate next time together. And please let me again thank you for your time and expertise, Rhett. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yes, Erin, always great to talk with you. And yes, everyone, have a good, safe, and productive holiday season.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, thank you to you for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about Intel's solutions, make sure that you visit insight.com because we do have dedicated landing pages for Intel's support and services and devices. Additionally, while you're there, make sure that you check out our online magazine. It's a quarterly magazine called the Tech Journal. It's a completely free resource and it's got lots of information that I know would be valuable to all of our clients and teammates alike. My name is Erin Hazen again, and I'm so grateful for your time and attention today. I can't wait to tech talk with you again next time. Have a fabulous day.